Snap. The broad leaves of the gaboa tree shielded John, and the fragrant mix of conifer and gaboa blossom filled his head. The sun was rapidly sinking behind the soot and snow-crowned peaks of the unnamed mountains in the distance. Orange islands of wildflowers lit the open meadows ahead of him ablaze in the setting glow. He pulled his attention back into the moment. Though embedded with a scientific survey crew, he was here not to bring back rock and plant samples. His mission was to gain intel on a rebel band located in the sector. This was his third recon location on this planet alone. As the last glimmers dipped behind the bruised horizon, night claimed the world. He moved swiftly through the open expanse of razor grass and thistle balm, the blades and thorns slapped harmlessly aside as he ran. His equipment was state-of-the-art. The thin polymer plates had been treated against energy-based weapons using microstructures imperceptible to eye or touch, then layered like paper-thin scales. Nearly weightless, the form-fitting attire seemed to shimmer with reflected light, granting him a blurred effect that could be attenuated to nearly invisible. The snap crickets began their evening percussive symphony as he ran. Their sporadic report had been a constant since his landing, like a living metronome counting down to some unseen crescendo. It was an isolated crack or pop as the rusty orange creatures first began to wake, but soon became a throaty purr that rolled in waves across the open prairie like clouds of starlings twisting and churning in his ears, 1,000 onlookers snapping their fingers to a well-directed symphony. They glowed with a faint orange fire that appeared to be sparked somewhere within their bulbous abdomens every time they reported. There were more of these glowing dots by the minute it seemed. The meadow glittered with their soft, fiery glow, beautiful but unsettling. The razor and thorn of the meadow suddenly gave way to coarse porous gravel cast upon by broken and charred bones. To the left and right, the desolation reached as far as he could see. A defined line between life and waste-ravaged land. A Federation strike a decade earlier had wiped the stripe clean from orbit using a radiation multiplier, leaving only laced bones and rusting mangled tech. It had been a resin plantation and distribution hub for the Zeta region of the Rim. The resin trade had been funding the merchant revolution, and the destruction of this hub had been a serious blow. Grasses and fire sage had taken hold of the barren ground in several areas, creating small oases of flammable, nearly explosive flora. He had read up on many of these strange plants in his field guide. There was an obvious lack of any fauna save the snap crickets in the flat sterile expanse. What a place! He moved swiftly across the open expanse. He glanced left and right repeatedly as he moved, unhappy with the lack of cover. The drone of the snap crickets was